What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down something with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about other factors out there, and how things are looking, in my personal opinion. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 in total. If you deposit $25,000 more, you're guaranteed 75. The offer ends very soon in just 4 weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So the market is attempting to rebound so far, and there is a little bit more upside potential for this, especially on SPY and the others, as we just got the unemployment numbers. But the question is, can the market sustain these levels? So we watch to see how well we hold up. I do think we could attempt to push a little bit more, but watch resistance as we start pushing higher. So the question is, what's happening? The non-farm payrolls are at 254,000, well above expectations, which is bullish for the markets. And unemployment was at 4.1%, below the 4.2% expectation, also bullish for the stock market. So overall, the main pieces of data are bullish. The reports are coming out that the September jobs report crushes expectations as the U.S. economy adds 254,000 jobs above the 150,000 expectation, and unemployment has fallen to about 4.1%. So that's what's coming out, at least from these headlines. My job here is not to necessarily tell you if this data is accurate or if it is being biased, because I do believe the data is very biased and we can't trust everything that's being reported, especially when we get these jobs revisions like a month later, a couple of months later. However, what I do have to tell you is that this is what the data is telling us, this is what's being reported, and this is what the market's reacting to. So I have to just look at this data and just accept it for what it is, and then kind of talk about the market's perspective of looking at this data. That's what my job is, at least for now. So that being said, the market's liking this so far. There's a 93.5% chance we get a 25 basis point cuts. The market's still fine with that. And then as far as the option chain goes, just know that for SPY, we have 220,000 of these calls expiring so far. And then we have a balance of 480,000 puts. Max pain's at 568. So we'll see how well things go. The market could continue this balance. And we are still, once again, doing a good job at holding up. There's another bullish news that came out. The port strikes have ended as workers agreed to a tentative deal on wages and contract extensions. This is big news. They're basically extending their contracts through January 15th to provide time to negotiate a new contract. This is bullish news. This is ending the big strikes that are going on in the East and Gulf coasts. And this is once again going to help a lot of these companies like the Amazons, the Walmarts, and others after everything that's going on. So bullish news. October has been shaky so far, but now the market's trying to rebound. Once again, the strikes are over, which is big news. Good for the market thus far. Jobs numbers were decent. The market's liking that as well. So two bullish catalysts. And finally, we're going to be watching to see what happens with oil. We'll see what happens with Israel, if there is some kind of retaliation attack or not. But so far, that's not really affecting the market as much. We're more focused on the jobs numbers and also the port strikes ending. So what do I see for the share prices of the markets? SPY has support to watch for at this 572 area. If we lose that, we're looking for 570, which is where this imbalance happens to be. If we continue to break out, we're looking for basically the 574 zone all the way up here near all-time highs. Looking at this chart, we bounced very, very nicely on the 4-hour time frame. We are looking like we want to push for these all-time highs to get very close to them. So I think we could push a little bit more on SPY, but then we'll see how we end up reacting once we get to all-time highs. So watch and see, do we pump and eventually slow down? Do we continue to rally? I think we will push a little bit more, but watch those all-time highs and see what the reaction happens to be. Look for a bigger push upon open as this bounce is incoming. For ES, we look more bullish. If we lose 57.80, we're looking for a dip back down. Okay, so keep that in mind. If this support breaks right here, we're coming back down to our 20 EMA. If we keep breaking down and holding them at 5800, we're looking for a push back up to these highs at 58.25. So I think there's potential for us to push up towards 58.10 and 58.25 to these higher zones. And there is more upside potential on the 4-hour for ES. So this looks more bullish. For now, it could push a little bit higher, but then we'll see what kind of reaction we get, at least moving forward. For Nvidia, we look more bullish. Now we look bullish because of the fact that we got some good reports, good ratings from analysts, and then good jobs numbers and such. So we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. This also could resemble like a cup and handle. I think that we may attempt to get to these highs. If we manage to continue to hold up, we could get closer to about the 126 to 127 area. If we were to hypothetically lose 123.5, though, we could be dipping back down to 121. So far, the chart looks more bullish, so it's favoring the upwards direction as a stronger possibility. For Bitcoin, we're looking more bullish. If we could hold above 61,679. I think that this could go all the way up to about 62,000 and 62,600 at the 50 EMA. If we come short and we don't hold above 61,800, 61,680, excuse me, then we could be dipping back down. This is looking more bullish. Looks like it wants to get closer to 62,000. So I favor the upside move. So watch for that very carefully. As far as Tesla goes, we have 247 as resistance, and then 250s are resistance above that. And our support to watch for is at 244. So look at 244 and see if Tesla could hold above that. If not, we're looking for this gap support at 242, and then the gap all the way a little bit below that as our next targets. So look at 242 and 244 as our two main supports. If we lose that, we could dip lower. If we hold above that and try to break out, we're looking for 247 and 250 as resistances. We'll see which way we go. There is more upside potential for Tesla trying to get closer to 247, in my opinion. So we could try to push a little bit more, but then we'll see what the reaction happens to be. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully just to see if Tesla could push a bit more. So watch that resistance and see. For NQ, we look a little bit more bullish. We're trying to push for this 20,300 target. It could attempt to go a little bit higher from here, but then watch resistance once we get up there. For support, we're looking at 20,200. If that fails us, we'll be dipping back down towards 20,100 all the way down here. But this is favoring the upwards direction as we have these momentum indicators. So 20,300 is a very, very good target. For the QQQ, we look more bullish. We have 488 as resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for basically the 490 area. If we end up projecting on 488, we're looking for a dip back down to 485. If that fails us, we're going to be looking for a dump back down towards 482. So we'll be watching to see how things end up going. If 485 ends up breaking, then we're looking for 482 as our next target, and we'll see if we end up bouncing or not. But in my personal opinion, I think that we're going to try to push a little bit higher, closer to 490. Then we'll see if we get a rejection. Just look for a little bit more upside. It still has momentum that's building. Aapl looks more bullish as well. I think that if we continue to break past 228, we're looking for 230 as our targets. If we were to lose 226, we're looking for a dip. But with the port strike news ending, I think that that could help Aapl get to above 229 for more potential upside. For the IWM Russell 2000, we look more bullish. We're looking for this imbalance to fill towards 221. If that breaks, we're looking for 222. So 221 to 222 will be our targets. If we end up losing 218, we're looking for a dip back down to about 215. My gut tells me that we could be looking for 220, then 221 as our target. So there's upside potential in the IWM. For Coinbase, we look a little bit more bullish. We're looking for 170s our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for a bigger push for about 170, 173. If we reject off 168, we could be dipping back down towards 165. But my gut tells me that this has more upside potential for the 170 area. For Amazon, we're trying to push. We're looking for basically 186.5 as our resistance. If it manages to break that, we're looking for 188 and supports at 185. So I think this still looks bullish. Might try to get closer to 188 if we break 186.5. It's going to be a tough resistance, so give it some time. Meta has resistance at 585, the level I called out yesterday. We'll see if we could hold above that or not. If we do hold above this, I'm looking for 588, then 590. If we can't hold above 585, we could be dipping back down towards 578. So we'll see how things end up going with that. There's still some upside potential for Microsoft. If we hold above 420, we're looking for 421.5. If it rejects, we're going to be dipping back down to about 418. This has potential for like 421.5, so I could see this push a little bit more. For Google, we have more upside potential. We have basically 170s our resistance. I think it could attempt to push higher, so we'll see how things go. If you lose 168, we're going to be dipping back down towards 166.9. So we will see how things end up going. So in my personal opinion, I think that there's a good chance that the market attempts to push a little bit more, especially SPY, as we get closer to all-time highs. But then we're going to be very, very patient at least just to see how things end up developing. So watch this very carefully, see what happens as we approach resistance. And I think that we could attempt to go a little bit higher thanks to all this bullish news, but just be careful as we get closer to all-time highs on SPY. For the QQQ, be careful as we get closer to 490. That's going to be a tougher resistance, so be very patient with these levels. But with that being said, guys, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another update, and peace out.